Guys, and welcome back to the Fat Pack Magic Vintage Cube. Today we've got some gameplay video and we've got an awesome match for you to see. On the left we have Adam, who normally plays a control build, but this week he's doing kind of a Jeskai mid-range. And on the right we've got Chris Wong, who we saw draft in the previous video, and he's running an Abzan kind of reanimator value deck. So let's take a look at his opening hand, and he's got a fairly decent start. He's got all of his colors. He's got the recurring nightmare, and he's got the token generator with Soren. And he's got looks like a Nissa? But Adam's going to start off with a Shelldock Isle, and this is a really good, ooh, man. That is a juicy Shelldock. Now, Shelldock is amazing, especially in Cube Draft, because you automatically start at 33 cards, 32 if you draw, and 31 after the Shelldock target. So, there's only a few turns before this Shelldock is live. Chris decides to drop off his Horizon Canopy and play a Nissa's Oath. This is like a green ponder, and I really love this card because you can kind of dig through and it finds a lot of targets. In Chris's case, he finds a swamp, which is no bueno. But as long as the top 3 cards weren't amazing, it's not a bad pick. Now we're back to Adam, and Adam's going to start off with a Jace. Oh man, and Jace with that Shelldock is just value town. Chris is going to draws a forest, and passes it back. He's got nothing for a turn 2 play. And Adam's just fine to sit and hang the dice here, because he's under no pressure. He can just take his time and sculpt his hand with Jace, and he passes it over to Chris. Chris draws nothing spicy, nothing amazing. It's the Primordial Command, which might be fine later. But he decides he's going to run out that recurring nightmare. No counter magic, no whammy, and it doesn't seem like there's any whammy. I think it could, he just may not respect the mana leak, but he might also just be trying to jam down the recurring nightmare when he feels like the shields are down. So he's going to fetch, and it looks like he's going to either grab the plateau because he's got another island in hand. So he might just want to get as much fixing as possible without the pain. Yep, he grabs the plateau. And I assume he's going to, draw and discard at end step. Adam doesn't seem too concerned about that recurring nightmare, though. He may just not be too worried about it. But he draws, loots an island, says this is gone, takes his turn. Man, Jace is just going to run away with the game here. Fractured Identity. Now that's pretty fun. But he's not too worried about anything. He doesn't seem to be under any pressure. He can just draw. He's got plays. He can bounce. If Chris has a discard target, if Chris draws a discard target and a way to discard it, he can just bounce it back to his hand with Jilt. Chris takes his draw, and Lingering Souls. Okay, nothing too exciting there. Plays a forest. Now, Adam is basically saying he doesn't have counter magic, because he would have countered the recurring nightmare. He might be holding it up now, but he fetched out plateau instead of another blue. So I think, although Lingering Souls is really good here too. I would have liked the Soren, but Lingering Souls is really strong. Counter this. Counter this card. And it doesn't look like Adam's going to really care about it. It doesn't look like he lets it resolve. 2 spirits hit the board. But the thing is, if Chris has like an Entomb effect or something, he can really get value off those spirit tokens. So Adam decides he's going to nip this in the bud, blast one, and bounce the other. He has dealt with half of a card. And Adam is going to draw and discard. Yep, he's going to decide to chuck the Char. And the Shelldock Isle is slowly ticking away. Little does Chris Wong know that there is an Inferno Titan hiding underneath that Sheldock. Oof. And now Jace's gonna flip. He decides to discard this big dude that is he's like a red-white overrun. He just lands on the field and does damage. Double strike, lifelink, he does it all. And now Jace is gonna flip. And he's gonna decide to probably just pump it up. There's not really much to do here with it. You know, he can hang back a turn, but play Brainstorm this turn. Draw into some land. There we go. Monastery Mentor is great. I like the Monastery Mentor here because you can just drop that. It doesn't seem like Chris has much removal going on. And with Jay, he's going to decide to put the Monastery Mentor back on top and play Aurelia instead. Now, Aurelia is a standard all-star that is just a beat down in general. 2/5 body that pumps up her or any other dude for +2/+0, and depending on if it's red or white, it gets Vigilance or Trample. But if it's red-white, it gets Vigilance and Trample, so it's amazing! And this thing is, I mean, for 4 mana, it's a solid Baneslayer kind of card, with pump effect on that turn if you have a dude out. I kind of would have liked being able to do the Monastery Mentor, maybe do a cantrip. It looks like Chris has an answer for that, though. He's going to Primordial Command, and he's going to choose... He's going to have him shuffle away the Jace. He's going to put the Jace on top, and then shuffle his library. Okay. I think he has to shuffle the graveyard into the library. Yeah, he should have had to shuffle the graveyard into the library, but I think they just kind of missed that. Which, the Sheldock Isle, that could have been a really hard setback. You know, putting 6 more cards into his from his graveyard into his library. But at the same time, I could kind of understand why. Well, it's just a missed ability at this point. I don't think there's anything malicious on either side of the table. So Adam draws up Kefnet, which is just a value machine, and he's going to swing at Chris, drop him down a bit. That Aurelia is one hell of a clock, and Chris decides, you know what, time's up. And they both sacrifice a creature. And then Liliana comes down, but looks like Adam's okay with that. He's fine. You know, he's not going to desert it because he has a fractured identity. And, oh man. Oh, Chris discarded a swamp to his Liliana. Ooh, wow. Oh man, do it. So Adam's going to fractured identity the Liliana. And Chris literally reads the card and says, what the fuck is this shit? Wow. Oh my god. It's a 2-for-1 for 5 mana, which is semi-fair in a vintage cube. And Adam says, you have 1 card in hand? And you didn't discard a bomb to your Liliana? Okay. Discard. And shields are down. Chris Wong is now playing off the top of his library, but the top is pretty good. Maelstrom Pulse is pretty good. But there's that Fractured Identity 2-for-1 that ripped the Sorin from poor Chris's hand. And Sheldock Isle is almost active. No, wait, it's going to be active. Yep. He is 1 card off from being active. So Chris draws, and he cashes in the Horizon Canopy, and he's got an Ink Eyes, which, given Adam's graveyard, can be really good. Did he forget that Lingering Souls has flashback? You just ninjutsu one of the guys, and then maybe he's just afraid of counter magic at the moment, but I wouldn't be too afraid of counter magic with lingering souls. And the ninjutsu is an activated ability, so it's not casting. Adam decides, you know what? I like your Solemn Simulacrum. That's going to turn on my Shelldock Isle. Filtering out a land. Man. Except, no, he didn't. He didn't leave the blue mana open for the Inferno Titan. Oh, no! Well, it gives Chris another turn. And let's see what he's going to draw. He's going to swing in. You know what? I'm going to ping you with your own Solemn. Fine. Chris takes it. And he decides he's going to drop down Kefnet. Now, this god is just a card advantage engine. Being able to double cast your instants and sorceries, depending on what they are, is pretty legit. And Chris decides he's found the answer for that in Vraska's Contempt. And Adam says, you know what, okay, I'm just going to put it third from the top. That's fine. Vraska's resolves. And Chris didn't read that card fully, apparently. And decides that it's time for the Inferno Titan to come down with the Shelldock. 3 damage to your face, Chris. Swing, 3 damage. That's the game. Here's your little Solemn Simulacrum back. I didn't even need to draw a card off that. I got the land. Well, that's been game 1, guys. Come back. We've got game 2 coming up soon. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Subscribe to our Patreon. Check out our Instagram and our Facebook and all this other stuff. Thank you guys again. And may all your packs be fat.